We're going to do a couple more flipped lessons. So we're looking at Chapter 5, Rates and Ratios. So in your notebook, please write down this title for Chapter 5, which is Rates and Ratios. You do not need to write down my example, though. So the whole idea of understanding the material for this chapter is so that I can figure out what is the best deal. And for me, that would be for a cup of coffee, because Mrs. Miller loves her coffee. So by the end of this chapter, you should be able to tell me what is the better deal. A tall cup of coffee, a grande, or a venti. So which one of those would be the best deal for Mrs. Miller? So in order to understand what the best deal is, we first need to look at ratios. So please write down 5.1 ratios. Again, if I go too fast during the lecture, go ahead and pause me, and when you're ready to move on, go ahead and move on. So 5.1 ratios. Well, what is a ratio? A ratio compares two quantities, and you can write it in three different ways. So it can be written A colon B, A over B, but we're going to write it like that. My computer just doesn't like to do that. Or A to B. And why would we want to know those? Well, let's just listen to my example. You do not need to write this down, so you don't need to write this down. Let's say that you had a math club. You're all in math club. And the recipe calls for 3/4 of a cup of sugar to make 20 cookies. But there are 60 members in your math club, so how much sugar, would you need to make 60 cookies? Well, we can use our ratios to figure that out. I'll just tell you the answer right now, that I need 3 times the amount of cookies for all the members of my math club, so that means I need 3 times the amount of sugar to make my cookies. Still thinking about coffee, sorry. So that means I need 9 over 4 cups, and if I put that as a mixed number, I would need 2 1/4 cups of sugar. So ratios help us to figure things out. Say I need to make a lot of cookies, or I need to make a lot of birthday cake. It helps us to figure out what we need. So I showed you how a ratio kind of looks like a fraction, but they're really a lot different. So how is a ratio different from a fraction? Well, a ratio can compare two quantities. So for example, 1 cat to every 4 dogs, that's a ratio. So for every 1 cat, you have 4 dogs. You can also write something as 1/5, so that means 1 out of 5 pets is a cat. I can also write something like 1 over 4, which a favorite pet is a cat out of the 4 different types of pets. How is that different from a fraction? Well, a fraction is a part of a whole. So again, you're writing all this down in your notes. If I go too fast, just go ahead and pause me, and then play me when you're ready to go on. So a fraction names a part of a whole. So for example, can I really have 1/5 of a cat? Ooh, I hope not. So let's look at how can we write examples of ratios. So example 1, you're writing this in your notebooks, writing ratios. You don't need to copy down the picture of the M&Ms or Skittles, whatever you want to think they are. So what is the ratio of red to green M&Ms? So just like we did with our Skittles activity, you would count the number of red M&Ms that you see in the picture. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's quite a few red M&Ms. Sorry, I don't know why my screen moved on. So ratio of red M&Ms. So let's look. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, maybe I only see 6. Let's count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I have 6 red M&Ms. And I'm going to use the semicolons to how many green M&Ms? Gosh, there's a lot of green. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So the ratio of red to green M&Ms is 6 to 13. So again, go ahead and write that in your notebook. If you need to pause me, go ahead and pause me. When you're ready to move on, go ahead and move on. Okay, now what if I want to compare yellow to blue M&Ms? So again, we're going to count how many yellow M&Ms. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to write this in a different way. So I see 6 yellow M&Ms. And let's compare that to blue M&Ms. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I see 12 blue M&Ms. Hey, let's make that blue. So I have 12 blue M&Ms. So I can write my ratio that way. Remember, I can also write, hey, let's use yellow. I can also write it as 6 to 12. So there are many different ways that I can write my ratios. Now, is that one in the simplest form? Probably not. I could probably simplify that. For every 1 yellow, I have 2 blue M&Ms. Now, what if I want to compare the ratio of orange M&Ms? Oh, I should be making that orange. Of orange M&Ms to my total number of M&Ms. Well, let's look. Should we count the orange ones again? We haven't counted them, or have we? Nope, we haven't. So orange is kind of hard for me to tell the difference from red, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I think there's about 12 orange. But now I need to know how many total M&Ms I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Let's pretend like Mrs. Miller counted all of them. There were 40. So again, is this in the simplest form? 12 to 40? I probably could divide that by 4, and I would have a ratio of 3 to 10. Okay, so copy that down into your notebook. So now you're going to do some on your own. So you should notice a text box on the right. I tried to make this a little bit bigger. So these are Skittles. So what is the ratio of yellow to total number of Skittles? And then B, what is the ratio of orange to green Skittles? And you can write that in any one of the 3 ways. When you're ready to move on, enter your answer to the text box on the right, and then we'll have some more notes. You're going to do another one on your own. So this is looking at data in a little bit of a different way. So this says favorite ice cream toppings are given. So here are my favorite ice cream toppings. And these numbers tell you how many people there were that liked those. So that's 4, that's 1, this is 2, 1, and 3. So really there's only 7, 8, 9, 10. There's only 11 people total that they asked. So it says write as a ratio the number of students who like hot fudge to all students. So we know there's 11 students. So what's the ratio of students who like hot fudge to total number of students? And then the number of students who like caramel versus strawberry. Again, you should see a text box on the right. So once you're ready, enter your answers into the text box on the right after you've recorded this in your notebook, and then we'll take a couple more notes. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to copy this all down, and then, so you're going to pause the video, copy this down, and then when you're ready, you're going to hit play so that then I can talk about what you wrote down. So take a minute, copy this down, and then we're going to talk about it. So I'm not sure if you guys have done tape diagrams before. So tape diagram compares the 2 different ratios. So here you are, and here's your friend. So let's see how they did this. It says the ratio of your monthly allowance to your friend's monthly allowance is 5 to 3. So there should be 5 boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boxes for you, and 3 for your friend. Okay, so the monthly allowance total is $40. How much is each allowance? So I'm going to use my tape diagram to help me visualize this. So I made boxes. So I have 5 boxes for me and 3 boxes for your friends. So I have 8 parts total, and I know that's $40. So because there are 8 parts, you know that each part is worth $5. So if I have 5 parts, I have $25 because each of these parts was 5. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. And if I have 3 parts, my friend has $15 because that's 5, 10, 15. So we can also use tape diagrams to help us once we know the ratios to make our calculations. Don't worry, we're going to try some more of these. So let's try another one. Okay, again, if you want to copy this down and then pause me while you do that, and then when you're ready to move to listen, you can just go ahead and listen. So you have a total of 72 M&Ms, yum yum, and you put them into 2 bags. One for you and one for your friend. So just like the last one, we have you and we have your friend, and we're going to make a tape diagram. So we need to figure out the ratio. So you keep 3 for every 5 you give to your friend. So that means you get 3 boxes and your friend gets 5 boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So just like the last problem, we have 8 total boxes. We know we have to put 72 M&Ms in all of those boxes. So what does that mean each box is worth? So 8 times what is 72? I think it's 9 times 8. So that means each one of my boxes is worth 9. And you could call those M&Ms. So you're giving your friend some more M&Ms. So how many M's did you get? 9 times 3 is 27. So how many did you get? And 9 times 5 is 45. So that's how many your friend has. Now, to make sure we did this correctly, 45 plus 27 should equal 72. So I should be able to do a little side math over here. And notice that it does equal 72. So I did do this correctly. So again, you don't need to understand this completely. If you have questions, write them on the side. This is just to give you an overview. We'll try some more problems tomorrow during class. Okay, so now you're going to do one on your own. So again, write this down in your notebook. So you receive an allowance each month. You spend $2. So you're going to make a tape diagram with how much you spend versus how much you put in the bank. So you have to figure out how many boxes you're going to put for each of those. And the total amount of money you have is $75. So how much could you spend? How much could you put in the bank? After you calculated this out in your notebook, go ahead and write your answer in the text box on the right. Okay, your last page of notes. So you're just going to write this summary in your notebook. This is our summary. So we're looking at ratios, which compare two quantities, and we can write them in 3 different ways, and which is different from a fraction. A fraction is a part of a whole, so like I have 2 out of 3 pieces of pizza. And then we also looked at tape diagrams to help us figure out, if we had that ratio, how much would go in each of those ratios. So by the end of this section, you should know what a ratio is, how's that different from a fraction, and how to use a tape diagram. So we're going to practice those tomorrow during class. If you have any questions, please write those in your notebook, and we're going to go over those first thing in the class. I'll see you tomorrow.